going to evaluate a PA projection and lateral projection. So this is the PA projection of the chest. We're going to start with a collimated border. Not a lot of the abdomen is included, so that's a good collimation. Then I like to start at the top and work my way down. So we see here the air-filled trachea, the right bronchus and the left bronchus. And then we have the sternoclavicular joints. You can see here that the one on the left is further away from the vertebrae than the one on the right, which seems to run over the top of it. That means that this patient is rotated. The scapula is out of the lung field on the right. We can see that the scapula is in the lung field on the left. Then we want to make sure that we have 10 ribs so that we know the patient had full inspiration. So here's the first rib here, and the second, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th ribs. So this patient has full inspiration. We also want to see the spine go through the heart shadow, which this one does. We want to make sure that we have both lung fields, the left and the right, from the apices to the costophrenic angles, which we do on the right. And we also have the costophrenic angle down here on the left. We also want to see good lung markings from the hilar region to the peripheral edge. Over here on the right, the lung markings end along this line. Over here on the left, you can't see them probably on the camera, but they do go all the way to the peripheral edge. We also want to make sure that we have a sharp outline of our heart and our diaphragm. Based on the criteria of needing to have the scapula out of the lung field, this image would not pass. And based on the sternoclavicular joints not being equal distant to the vertebrae, this image would not pass. Onto our lateral projection. So we start with a collimated border. And down here you can see that a little bit of the left or right costophrenic angle was clipped off. The right side of the diaphragm is higher, so the right one is clearly visible, and the left side of the diaphragm is lower, and that would most likely be the one that was cut off. And we want to have superimposed posterior ribs, which we do up here at the top, and then as it goes down they separate. We want to have intervertebral foramina. We have them here, but they're not very clear. They could look more like a circle. We want to have open and equal spaces in between the vertebrae. As you can see, as it goes up, they get a little bit narrower. We can see here the heart shadow. We want to have the entire lung field from the apices all the way down to the costophrenic angles, which we saw when we were looking at collimation, that it's there. We want to check the sternum for rotation. And other images that I've seen, this tip of the sternum has been smaller, so I would say that this sternum is showing slight rotation, most likely due to the rotation that we see here in the lower spine, which means that the person's hips were most likely out of alignment for this image. I like to follow the hilar, the trachea down to the hilar region, which would be right here. And we want to see that this is centered in the image. This one is about center. I'd say it's a little bit to the left of center, speaking in image terms, not body position terms. We also want to see that the arms are up and out of the lung field, which they are in this image. Also, both of these images don't have any excess cervical vertebrae at the top, which is another reason that I said that the collimation was good. Based on the criteria, I would say that this image would not need to be retaken because the gaps between the two posterior ribs are not more than 1 centimeter. This concludes my image evaluation of the criteria for both a PEA chest projection and a left lateral chest projection. The only other critique that you could say about this image is that there's no marker. I believe that's due to the fact that I took these images off the Radiology Masterclass website, and they probably removed that information.